It is a $500 million housing complex expected to bring new housing, retail business, and jobs to Duluth. Now, the project could be dead even before it's completed. Good evening, I'm Laura Lee.
And I'm Dan Wolf. Thanks for joining us. Tonight, we're hearing from Duluth city leaders as they demand the developer comply with their agreement terms.
Developer Lucy Ostreicher, who heads a new New York-based retail estate company, broke ground on the Incline Village complex at former Duluth Central High School site in December. Now, they're planning to build 1,300 condos and apartments, but the Duluth Economic Development Authority, or DEDA, says the developer hasn't met the terms of their agreement with the city, including paying taxes, providing proof of funding, and meeting other deadlines. They're giving the developer a 45-day window to make corrections, or the city could terminate the agreement.
Staff spent a lot of time in conversation with the developer over a year to really gain confidence and understanding to see how that project might move forward. And as I shared before, the development agreement was structured the way that it is very intentionally to allow for us to be able to have protections.
City Councilor Eric Forsman is also defending that move tonight. He says the council made sure to include legal language, making sure no public dollars were spent if the city didn't get what they agreed to, and other off-ramps allowing the city to dip out of the agreement in case something like this were to happen.
That's a design feature. That's not a flaw. So what you're seeing this week is the process working, making sure that the public was protected. And to get more housing, we have to try things like this.
And Forsman confirmed no public dollars have been spent on Incline Village at this point.
Meanwhile, Wendy Dirkwachter was the only councilor to vote against the tax subsidies for this project. In a statement today, she claims that before the agreement was reached, she asked about the developer's previous housing complexes across the Midwest. She was told it was against his religion to brag about them. Dirkwachter added that she was deeply disappointed in what she sees as a lack of vetting by the city administration and that this smelled of a scam from the beginning. Now, Ostreicher's business